My name is Kevin Waddy, and I'm president of the James Hardy Patterson Foundation. The mission of the James Hardy Patterson Foundation is to preserve, educate, and promote African American cultural heritage in the performing arts. We do this in many ways. One of the ways is that we host public panel discussions. We bring in musicians, educators, so that they can express their knowledge and opinions of the significance of African American cultural music, as well as dance. This is a way in which we are able to effectively communicate to the youth and the community the significance of the African cultural heritage, as well as it being an intellectual aspect as well.
If you had all the resources available to you, where would you place your initiative in terms of being able to preserve this wonderful African American classical music known as jazz, but more importantly, the heritage of our music?
Well, let me say this. When I was in doctoral study, I had this great big idea of what I wanted to do for a dissertation. And my advisor told me, he said, take that much and do it thoroughly and do it right. And of course, the dissertation still ended up being that thing. But I would like to apply that to the question you just asked. I'm a player, so what I would do is get a young group of people, such as that piano player you heard out the hallway. I'd put a 5 or 6 piece band together, not anything big. I'd get myself a committee set up who could contract or set up performances with elementary, junior high, senior high, inner city schools in the country. You know, we said all the resources I want. We travel all around the country playing in the inner cities and the black colleges, and we would do 2 workshops. I would let the kids in the band do workshops on the different instruments, and probably myself, since I've written on history, I would do a historical workshop for the people to talk about the music, talk about the roots of the music. And that's pretty much what I would do, and I would just get the information out there and try to get as many kids interested, especially at the elementary level, get them interested in music. So that would be my little contribution.
Thank you.
I concur 100%. As a music educator, we know that music education is not just talking about it. You don't talk about music without doing it as well. You've got to not only listen, but you've got to have that participatory experience, or else you really don't learn. And so I think you're exactly right. Get the music out to the kids, get them making it, and yeah, maybe kind of crappy at their first try, but so what? After that, they start getting better at it, and they will become quite proficient, and they'll get excited about it, and they'll learn to love it.
First of all, I would bring together everyone who knew anything about jazz, particularly the elderly. If they were performers or attended live concerts, Ella Fitzgerald and Duke Ellington and others, and I would have an oral history project whereby they would be filmed and interviewed. And in the summers, beginning, let's say, from the 6th grade and beyond, you can spend your summers in Africa. All the students, as well as all the teachers, go to these places, various places, particularly West Africa, and spend the summers having an opportunity to study, to live, to work, and the like, and live in these cultures.
I would do an African American classical music idol show to come on once a week, over and over and over, like these other idol shows are doing. And on those shows, one show might be jazz, another show might be gospel, another show might be whatever, all the different types of music. And that way I think it would be seen all over the world, because you still realize that people still get a lot of what they think about the world from the tube. So why not use that? So while they're going to the library with her, I'll have them, you know, doing their music, and I would have it as young as 2, 3 years old, because a lot of children start that early. So that's what I would do. I would have an African American classical music idol show, and then I'd have to figure out who would be the judges, which would be lots of fun and all that kind of stuff. That's what I would do.
Cool.
I would put music back in all public schools, starting from kindergarten. That's what I would do. If I had unlimited resources. The more radical piece of what I would do if I had unlimited resources is I would revamp the way we teach music in America, period. So in other words, I would jump over teaching African American classical music. From the very beginning in kindergarten, you would know that everybody in the world makes music. And this is how they do it in Kenya, and this is how they do it in Korea, and this is how they do it in Hoboken. And you can learn the commonality of the human experience by looking at musics of other cultures. So rather than perpetuate the racist way in which we always get put at the margins, I would flip the whole script, and so you would learn music by style or by function. So you learn the religious music of, this and that. And then I think our children would grow up to learn and be the world that we want them to be, because they would understand that Jews sing the chants and the same pentatonic scales their grandmama sang. And so they would stop thinking in terms of these kinds of silos. And that's what I would do.
If I had unlimited resources, let's see, I think I would start with the family. And I would try to encourage the family connection with the PTA, stronger PTA associations, and that's where I would start. And we go from there to the kindergarten, as was mentioned earlier. Kindergarten as early as possible. Of course, involving the parents, I think that's very important. Get the parents all wrapped up in the educational system. I would also create community arts centers in all the communities, but create community arts centers to get young people to go in and connect with movement and dance and the visual arts and all of that. Just be surrounded and immersed in the arts, period. I would like to change the educational system, have teachers that just, when they attend college, make it mandatory that they take courses in history, African American history, and as a part of learning about the music and vice versa. And I think this movement thing, I'm really a rhythm guy. I was very close to Dizzy. Dizzy and I were very good friends. Did work with Dizzy a lot. But the rhythm is the key factor here. And rhythm makes movement and dance and all that. So we got to stop just sitting there listening and not participating in what's going on the stage. That's a problem. So I would like to create dance studios, as was mentioned earlier, dance studios with music. And I think that's about it.
In addition, we host lectures for K through 12th grade, as well as college and universities, where we communicate and lecture the importance of understanding the cultural heritage of this important music that we have. I'd like to introduce to you the founder and CEO of the James Hardy Patterson Foundation, author, composer, educator, as well as an established musician who has played with the likes of Cab Calloway, Dizzy Gillespie, as well as Lionel Hampton. He's a foot soldier for the preservation of the African American classical music. Professor James Hardy Patterson.
I'm James Hardy Patterson. I'm the son of Mrs. Horgal Patterson and Mr. Hardy Patterson. Born in the state of Georgia. I have attended school since kindergarten, nursery school in this Atlanta area, in the confines of the Atlanta University Center. My parents were great encouragers for me at the beginning, and I am very grateful to those wonderful parents today, as I have continued in music for the rest of my life up to this point. My educational background in music began actually in the period of my kindergarten years through my continuing in music in the elementary school level, and of course at the high school level. I played in the high school band, and I was encouraged and influenced to attend Clark College at the time and to be a student under the great Professor Wayman A. Carver. one of the world great renowned musicians and composers. I attended the University of Michigan in graduate school in the year of, and I actually received my master's degree in the year of 1965. I had the opportunity to play with the Motown band in Detroit, and that band accompanied most of the great artists of the Motown label, and that included Smokey Robinson, that included the Temptations and the Four Tops and Gladys Knight, Bibbs, and Diana Ross and the Supremes, among others. My role as an educator at Clark Atlanta University was both a combination of performance and teaching. All those events were happening concurrently during my tenure at Clark. I was a professor teaching during the day most of the time, and at night I traveled a bit on tour, and I played in the pit orchestras in Atlanta most of those years. My reason for establishing the James Hardy Patterson Foundation Incorporated is to educate and preserve and promote African American classical music called jazz. There's so often that our younger people at the early stages, K through high school, don't get the opportunity to study and know about this culture. It's a very important culture. So little of the curriculums include the African culture and African American culture. So we're wanting to educate, specifically educate everybody in the world, not just African Americans, but everybody needs to know. So often African Americans don't know a lot about their music and their culture, and some other races don't know as well. So this foundation is basically it's a museum, it's a visual arts community, it's a community arts center, African American community cultural arts center is what it's about. And we want everybody to understand how important this music is on the planet Earth. Part of our mission is to support Congressional Bill H.R. 57, passed in 1987, and also support the bill that's on the table as of 2011, H.R. 2823, which deals with specifically preservation, promotion, and education. For further information, we encourage you to visit our website.